Hi friends! Happy New Year and welcome to another video. I hope you had a relaxing holiday and your new year is off to a good start. At the beginning of last year, I made a resolution to draw more regularly, and I'm pretty happy with the progress that I've made with drawing in my sketchbooks. But this year, I want to start off with a bang and try something unusual. I picked up this really thin notebook from Muji. It's A5 and only has 30 pages. I want to challenge myself to fill the sketchbook in the next month-ish. I say ish to give myself some wiggle room, but the plan is to finish it within the month of January. As someone who usually takes months and even years to finish a sketchbook, I thought this would be a fun experiment to get myself to draw more regularly and maybe establish a creative routine. I mentioned in a previous video that I want to start creating more finished paintings again. So instead of just drawing randomly, I want to use the sketchbook as a way to challenge myself to come up with illustration ideas. I noticed that I've been relying on reference photos pretty heavily, which sometimes causes me to fall into the default of copying what I see too closely. And I want to work on coming up with ideas and drawing from the imagination. So while drawing in this sketchbook, I'm going to try to look at references more for inspiration and then put them away while coming up with concepts. I want to flex those creative ideation muscles without focusing too much on the details or trying to get everything to look right from the first pass, because I can just fill them in later if I decide to turn any of these ideas into paintings. So I'm going to fill these pages with ideas, and then hopefully I'll have a few good ones in there that I can develop further by the end of the month. I'm writing down some prompts for inspiration. These are not fixed topics, but more like jumping off points to help me on days where I have no idea where to start. And so most of these words are concrete objects instead of abstract themes. That way I have something solid to start working off of. I came up with the idea of this challenge for myself, but this process is also pretty new to me. I usually let painting ideas come to me, and it feels like it's been forever since I've actually tried to actively generate ideas. So I'm very much figuring this out as I go. I decided to start the first spread with the prompt shell, and just began by doing some brainstorming and free association. Once I had some ideas, I began looking up some reference photos at this point to see how shells look. But instead of just drawing what I see, I'm trying to focus on figuring out how I could stylize and push the shapes. And you can see that in some of these little sketches off to the side. From there, I began to create some thumbnails for how things will look. I'm not drawing these in a lot of detail because the idea of this challenge is to come up with visual concepts that I can pull from in the future, and not drawings in and of themselves right now. And so I'm not expecting any of the thumbnails or even this whole sketchbook to turn out very pretty visually. I hadn't been drawing over the holidays, and it's certainly showing when I start to sketch, but I'm trying to remind myself that the goal here is to capture the idea instead of trying to make something pretty, and that's something I have to kind of fight against myself for. But hopefully, as I do more of these, I will get back into the rhythm of drawing and be a little more comfortable with the creative exercise as well. Alright, so that's day one. While all of these sketches are really rough, and some of them didn't turn out the way I imagined, there are a few ideas here that I think are worth exploring and maybe painting in the future. I have a feeling that this challenge isn't going to be easy, but I'm excited to see the sketchbook all filled up with ideas. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a tour of this notebook like I do with my other sketchbooks, where I talk through each of the pages and the ideas in a bit more detail, or if I'm going to just do a brief flip through, because again, this sketchbook isn't going to be very pretty to look at. That's not the goal here. So let me know what you would prefer to see. But either way, I'll be back with the results of this challenge at the end of the month, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time. Bye!